brilliantly performed as usual. A quick look here at the All Black side as they line up with the three new caps, Tuingamala, Preston, and of course Graham Purvis down there in the front row, number 3. That's the All Black side for the match this afternoon. Very shortly we'll be hearing from Wayne Shelford down on the sideline. Former All Black Buck Shelford joining us once again in this commentary this afternoon. And here is the United States side that will line up against the All Blacks. 8 changes from the team that played against Italy, and the captain, number 4, Kevin Swords. So the sun has come to greet us. The referee, Ephraim Sklar from Argentina, 44-year-old accountant from Buenos Aires, and he's assisted by Owen Doyle and Steve Hilditch. And away we go then in this second match for the All Blacks in the 1991 World Cup against United States here in Gloucester. And John Timu playing out on the right wing side today for the All Blacks. And so we come back to the 22 for the restart. And a first touch of the ball in test matches for John Preston from Burnside in Christchurch. Big day for him. And conditions really couldn't be better now. The sun has come out. Really do greet the players onto the field here. And Preston with his first dropout, and has he made it to the 10-metre line? Don't think he did. Yes, the referee says carry on. And so the kick is in touch, 12 metres on the All Black side of halfway. John Preston, such a versatile player. Let's call in Wayne Shelford down at the sideline. Wayne, conditions really marvellous, aren't they?
Yeah, the conditions are very, very good at this present time. The sun's coming out, and a little bit of pressure at this present time on both teams. Looking for a good ball and looking to start well.
United States having first run with the ball, taken back in by Joseph Burke, their second 5'8". Michael Jones making the tackle there for the All Blacks just on the United States side of halfway, and the kick is coming from Chris O'Brien with his left boot. Has Terry Wright running down towards the corner, and Wright pushing it back towards halfway. Good start by the United States. Terry Wright, his 4th game at fullback for the All Blacks. Good start by the States. They've got some big forwards, especially their 2 second row men, Kevin Swords and Chuck Tunnicliffe. Touch judge across on the far side, Steve Hilditch. And so we come now to the first orthodox line-out, if you like, for the All Blacks to feed. Sean Fitzpatrick, 36th test today, now becomes the most capped hooker in New Zealand test history, takes over from Andy Dalton. And also Steve McDowell playing in his 37th today. Good tap by Andy Earl. The kick from Preston, pushing it up. Tuingamala is coming quickly down the left wing side, but he's adjudged to have been offside by the referee. Mr. Sklar from Argentina, who's obviously his native tongue is Spanish, but he's speaking to the players in English. And the United States have opted for the scrum back, where the kick was made by Preston, a couple of metres out from the 22. And it's halfback Mark Pidcock to feed. Eagles holding pretty well. Ridnell is the number 8 forward. Here again is O'Brien with that educated left boot of it. This is a pretty good looking kick. Right waiting. Ball loose near the line, but the referee said there was an arm up in the tackle. Well, that was a pinpoint kick, quickly taken by Basham. All Black spinning it out wide early. Now Craig Guinness gets into the gap. Now Tuingamala has a bit of a run. 5 metres on the All Black side of halfway. Andy Earl, first man there. Charging onto it goes Sean Fitzpatrick, 5 metres on the American side of halfway. And the All Blacks have an early penalty with the ball being killed on the ground.
Well, actually, in fact, I thought Fitzpatrick was very lucky not to be penalised himself there, because he went down onto the ground and he started to move without releasing the ball immediately and rolled over onto his back and then wanted to release it. But it's a great club, this Gloucester. King's Home Road, as they call it. They have a great tradition in rugby football, and they've consistently been in the top 2 or 3 English clubs in England in the last 25 years. You know, famous players, some of that you remember, Mickey Burton, for instance, Peter Butler, a fine fullback in his day, Mike Teague in the current side, Peter Kingston, who I rated a very fine halfback of the 70s and early 80s, Peter Ford, probably the father of number 8s in the UK, John Fiddler, a ginormous lock, captain of England, and Peter Watkins, who was a fine flanker in his day. Rugby club steeped in tradition.
First penalty attempt then for John Preston. And he's dragged that one away to the left. He's looked very good in training, John Preston. That had plenty of length on it, but just dragged away to the left. So no goal.
Yes, he has. He's been timing the ball beautifully at training, hasn't he? Been one of the features of the training.
About 5 minutes gone in the game. No scorers yet.
Crowd very much behind the USA here, of course. You can imagine that, the underdog.
And the All Blacks rather limply let that one bounce over the touchline. Andy Earl there.
Yes, he incurred the wrath of the lads down in the front row there.
Gary Wetton, 54th test today. He's getting very close now to Colin Meads, who of course played 55. Sean Fitzpatrick with the throw. 10 metres out from the 22. Beautiful leap by Jones, but it was just over his head. It fell into the arms of Sean Lipman, number 7 for the American Eagles. And there's no halfback there, so in fact it was picked up by Kevin Swords, their big captain and second rower. All Blacks driving in over the 22, and it's going to come on the All Black side by the looks of things. But they can't quite extract it out of there. Graham Purvis packing on the tight head scrum of the All Black scrum in his debut today.
Yes.
Scrum taken down, says the referee.
New Zealand ball in. I don't think there was much reason or any rhyme or reason in them taking it down. But Purvis will be very pleased to get his test. He'd been sitting on the bench for a long, long time without nudging that first international.
Chris O'Brien with his good-looking left foot. And that is a nice kick by O'Brien. 26-year-old, as I said earlier, the top point scorer in United States international rugby history. Just 87 points, but bearing in mind they don't play a lot of test matches. So a good look at this line out, right on the halfway line. No score on the game yet. All Blacks a bit slow to get started in this one. Taken in by Swords again. United States doing well at the lineouts. They've got two very big lock forwards. Away to O'Brien. Here he comes again with the left boot. Rams it up high in the air. Timu's calling for this one. Oh, that's nice work by number 12, Joseph Burke. A spirited start here by the United States.
He was only a mile offside, but still.
So the chant going round the ground, USA. And haven't they made a good start here?
It was a nice left foot kick by O'Brien, though, wasn't it? It was a lovely up and under.
Mark Pidcock then to feed. Bit of a decision near the back, picked up by Swords, but it was knocked forward, in fact, by the number 8 for Tony Ridnell. And so the All Blacks have to put into this defensive scrum, still just near the 22, 5 metres out, in fact.
You can see that Pidcock, the halfback, and Ridnell not combining particularly well, and they're having a little wee team talk there in between the lull and play.
Basher pushes it forward, taken by the left winger, Eric Whittaker. Falls into the arms of Paul Sheehy, and away he goes, but hang on, come back. Owen Doyle's got the flag up.
Yes, he just touched it. Just touched the line.
All Blacks taking a long time to get started in this game.
Well, I think that's pretty normal. I mean, they will have to a wee bit of settling down again, but these big American forwards in the line-out are going quite well.
Penalty against number 5 for United States. That's Chuck Tunnicliffe. They are big boys, those second rows. They are bigger than the All Blacks, that's for sure. And that's a nice kick by John Preston. So the All Blacks swing back onto the attack. 2 or 3 metres out from the 22.
Talking to Jim Blair earlier and just saying about how slow they are to start, but he said that you know, they're still improving every week. They're getting every day they're getting a wee bit sharper.
Kevin Swords doing great work for the Americans. He's the captain today. And Ian Jones is in touch, in fact. Well, Kevin Swords won the line out cleanly at the front and then drove up 15 metres. Good play.
And he's been good down on the ground too. He's been getting the ball back and winning a lot of loose stuff for them.
Kevin Swords from Beacon Hill in Boston. He's taken over the captaincy of the side today. Wetton gets it on the second take. And the All Blacks get penalised. So we've been going 10 minutes in the game now. And really, the United States line hasn't been under threat. Chris O'Brien, another big kick downfield. Applause breaks out again for Chris O'Brien.
It just reinforces the principle, though, that line-outs are the most important facet of the modern game. You've just got to win your line-out ball.
Real battle going on between Ian Jones and Chuck Tunnicliffe, pushing and shoving at each other.
That's the frustration that emerges at this time of the game. Have a look at the size of the little man talking. It's magic, isn't it? He's a bit like little men. Don't underestimate him. He'll be into them.
Yes, he's pushing the big fellas apart. Look at him.
Can you see him there? Yes, I can now.
Yeah. So Fitzpatrick with the throw then. 12 minutes gone, and a penalty goes against Tunnicliffe. He's determined that he wants to master Ian Jones. But he went outside the laws of the game that time and pushed Jones out of the road. And so now Preston with a clearing kick. Beautifully struck again by John Preston.
It's nice timing.
Well, that's what it's all about with this ball, isn't it?
Absolutely. You cannot really whack it. You've actually got to stroke it.
Pat Johnson with the throw. Swords went high. Seemed to knock it forward. Oops, see, the referee got knocked over that time by Sean Fitzpatrick. Goodness me. I think even a big referee would be in trouble with Sean Fitzpatrick. Okay, 10-metre line. Basham. All Black backs haven't really had a run yet. McCahill, long pass right in. Jones getting quickly across to try and secure that loose ball as quickly as possible. They've got it again now. Innes hands his man off, Joseph Burke, and away he goes. Back to Tuingamala. 22 metres out from the United States line. All Blacks looking to wrestle this one clear. They can't do it, and in fact, the Argentinian referee says it'll be a scrum for the United States.
They had possession.
New Zealand have a healthy advantage in scrum weight. Mark Pidcock to feed. Coming off the back is Ridnell, but it looks like it's coming on the All Black side. Fired it away. McCahill has it. Straight across for Timu. Timu trying to run outside his man. Has support from McCahill. Wright is lurking as well. Now Preston feeding Innes. All Blacks starting to move it round a little now. Alan Witten gets his hands on it. 22-metre line. Now there's a big line up for the All Blacks. Preston across to Wright. Good tackle by Paul Sheehy. Now Preston again, running it out to Tuingamala. The ball popped away, and it was deliberately pushed away. A deliberate forward pass, at least a deliberate knock-on, as Preston was about to deliver the pass to Tuingamala, and the All Blacks have a penalty. And Gary Wetton has decided it'll be a shot at goal. So a chance to call in Buck Shelford down the sideline. Been a bit of a slow start for the All Blacks, Buck.
Yeah, it's a very slow start by the All Blacks, but one of the areas that I can see that they should be dominating in is the lineouts. And what they're doing is they're throwing it to Ian Jones in the middle of the lineout a lot, and to Gary himself, and they should be using Steve McDowell, Andy Earle at the back of Ian Jones, where he's got the height over his own player, and over the back, and really get the ball going. And the Americans are doing a lot of pushing, and even though the referee's picking them up for penalties, I think the All Blacks to be using that ball a little bit more wisely.
Buck Shelford down at the sideline as John Preston lines up his second penalty attempt. having missed after just a couple of minutes play from centre field. This time he's out on a bit of an angle. Nice, graceful looking kick by Preston, and he has his first points in an All Black jersey. John Preston kicks a penalty goal for the All Blacks after 14 minutes play, and they lead by 3-0.
Well, yes, he just stroked the ball. It's good. You have confidence now. It'll be a big boost. Very nice timer, as many people in New Zealand know, particularly in Canterbury. Very fine cricketer too. He's one of those chaps you'd describe as an all-round ball player. The US of A is certainly going at it a lot harder than they did against Italy. They took about 15 years to wind up there, and then they never really got into the game at all. This is a far better performance. In fact, everybody's surprised that Italy beat them so easily.
30 points to 9 in that game. Kickoff made by Burke, and once again the All Blacks allow it to go dead, and we'll go back to the 22 for the restart. 3 points to 0. The All Blacks have played on this ground a couple of times before. The 1905 All Blacks were here, believe it or not. Bernie, you'd probably remember that. 44 points to 0 they won that day, and then in 72 the All Blacks came here and played the Southwest Counties. Much better restart that time from Preston. Pushed it 10 metres over the 22, and the whistle is gone. All Blacks offside. So this might be another opportunity, or at least an opportunity for the United States to put points on the board. And Chris O'Brien is going to have a shot at goal. It's a lovely little ground, isn't it? All beautifully appointed. Nice surface.
Yes. Great. Normally rings to the sound of Gloucester, Gloucester, Gloucester. But geez, they're tough to beat when they get like that too. It's almost as bad as when Wales in the old days used to start to sing when they realised they have a great chance of winning the game. I used to hate playing down here for the Harlequins because they used to call us city slicks and cream puffs and really get into us physically, and we were not with a cupful of cold water in the second half normally. And this chant of Gloucester used to make it worse, or worse, as they'd say down here. They roll their R's like gore men.
O'Brien from a long way out. Just pushed it away to the right. The crowd across on the far side gave it a chance for a while, but it just drifted away to the right, and it remains at 3 points to 0. Preston pushing it a bit too far this time, taken by number 7 Sean Lipman. Nicely channeled back too by the stage. Now O'Brien's going to kick again. That's obviously the plan. They haven't moved it at all. They're pushing the big ones up for Terry Wright, but it's not getting that far this time. Snapped up, or trying to snap it up, was Preston, just out from the 22 in All Black territory. United States playing with a lot of heart so far in the game. All Blacks haven't really threatened the try line as yet. In fact, they're defending here.
Again, the referees will be quick to blow up. They are. Once the ball goes to ground, or the man with the ball goes to ground, they're far too quick to blow up. Some of the press and the pundits have been grizzling over here about lack of continuity. We won't have it unless they're allowed to clear a ball like that. It was there for the taking.
Free kick against the United States, not putting the ball in quickly enough. Mark Pidcock, the halfback. So the All Blacks have a relieving free kick here, and Preston will once again look for the touchline. Number 2 there, Pat Johnston. He is a veteran of the 87 World Cup, the hooker. And again, a nicely timed kick by John Preston. Went on the New Zealand development tour to Canada last year. States calling a short line out. They won it again, but the ball back in touch.
Wouldn't it be great if the hooker, Johnson, being an American, just picked up that ball and used that American throw around the middle of the field?
We saw that once against Italy, didn't we?
Yes, they did it once.
The big lateral pass. There's one guy on the team that could do it, Joseph Burke. He trialled with the Dallas Cowboys at one stage, so he's probably capable. All Blacks again. Basham, cross to Preston. Now McCarhill getting Inga in on the job. Big, powerful. Oh, my word. Someone went in and drove it on Tuigamala. There's some thumping tackling. And it was number 6, Mark Sawicki. Really committed himself to the All Blacks.
Almost as good as Farley on some of those Welshmen on Sunday.
Good little run here by Basham. 10 metres out from the 22. All Blacks crunching on here. They've decided to take it up the middle and just settle it down a wee bit. Now Fitzpatrick. Defence has been pretty solid so far. Now the All Blacks have a good lineup. Tuigamala was putting his boot on and has stayed out on the right wing side. Not sure that he's even got the boot on as yet. Still going. No, he hasn't. 5 metres out from the goal line as the All Blacks take it once again into the setup. They're going to spin it around. Away goes Ian Jones. All Blacks getting it up very close to the line now. And in fact looking for the try line, but it's not quite there. Halfway through the first half, 3 points to 0. And although you can't see him at the moment, Inga has gone to put his boot on. As we pause for an injury break. Well, O'Curtain, we're a quarter of the way through the game, and all the All Blacks have been able to produce so far is a penalty goal.
Oh, yes, they're slightly loose, as Buck was saying, and they weren't winning lineouts at the beginning. All credit to the Americans, who are playing very well at that stage too, particularly in lineouts. But they're now starting to put it together, and they'll use this crashing, driving play that they're so good at, and this is one of the men to do it. He's lost his boot there, you notice. But it doesn't stop going on and on and on. Very strong man.
Big, powerful run by Inga Tuigamala.
Setting it up there, ball free. And they rolled off him a wee bit there and were a wee bit unlucky to have missed out on a try. Ian Jones just pulled it away and got slightly isolated.
Played 9 games for the All Blacks, but this is his first test match.
Now, as you can see there on your picture, what a marvellous opportunity would be, just a straight ball to Inga, 5 yards out. Inga Tuigamala, that is, from his halfback. Oh, no, sorry, it's John Timu on that side. Yes, I've got it wrong. He's on the left. But what a great move, just to John Timu and have a go at his man. There's no one there at all.
All Blacks look as though they're going to try for the push over here. Held in the back by Andy Earl. First try coming up, scored by Andy Earl. It's taken 20 minutes for the All Blacks to get across the line, but they had the superior shove on the United States scrum that time, and Andy Earl gets try number 1 today to make it 7 points to 0.
Well, here it is. He picks it up. Again, the ploy was on, but the scrum was disintegrating, the American scrum, or the USA scrum, and there was no stopping Andrew Earl.
Good solid scrum here by the All Blacks, and Earl was able to drive in low and hard and crashes over the line. The referee right on the spot. And Andy Earl has his 3rd test try in his 11th test match. Andy Earl started with the Baby Blacks way back in 1986. No goal from John Preston, so he has kicked 1 penalty, 1 out of 3 so far for Preston. 7 points to 0. The All Blacks lead after the try scored by Andy Earl.
Yes, Whittaker didn't have much show of stopping Andrew Earl there. Whittaker would be about 10.5 stone by the look of him, and only about 5'6". A real bundle of fire, but not much chop when you're 5 yards short of the goal line trying to stop a big number 8.
And so the restart from halfway. The drop kick from O'Brien. Down for Preston. And Preston this time will have to kick for touch. So once again, the United States calling the short line out, breaking up the All Black pattern. And there was an infringement in there.
Well, the USA, number 5, was penalised for coming in from more than 5 yards outside the line of the lineman.
Michael Jones made the break. Now Innes away to Preston. Holds up the pass for McCarhill, and Terry Wright scores for the All Blacks. Well, that's more like it. The All Blacks tapped it just on their own side of halfway. Michael Jones made the initial burst, and they ran it to the left, and Terry Wright, as we see John Preston across to McCarhill. Probably Bernie McCarhill could have made it himself, but he popped it up for Terry Wright, and the man who used to play on the left wing scores down the left wing side.
Yes, well, it was a good setup, and they ran from right inside their own half, and it was a lovely run by Innes particularly. And here again, Preston using his brains, notice, and holding in high in the winger, so there was no way that he could run off and cover the three men. And a simple try, as we all know, to Terry Wright. That's the sort of stuff that the crowd, and I should say most of the Pacific, are looking for in terms of the All Blacks playing against the US of A. Scrum disintegrated slightly and made it difficult for the US to cover.
Wide angle conversion attempt by John Preston. Just missed. Good attempt by Preston from wide out. So the All Blacks have scored 2 unconverted tries and a penalty by John Preston. 11 points to 0 now. Terry Wright has racked up his 16th try in Test matches.
Has the wind gone out of the US of A team? They scrummed and played the line out brilliantly for the first 20 minutes.
23 minutes gone. Maybe we should call on Buck Shelford down on the sideline. It's just starting to open up a little bit now, Buck.
Yeah, the All Blacks have finally got the A's and the G, really, and they're starting to play good football. They're winning quality ball now and starting to run the Americans around. I think the Americans are starting to tire a little bit at this stage, but they are mixing up their options and they're making the All Blacks think. But the Americans just can't do anything with the ball that they're actually getting because they're under a lot of pressure in the line-outs and in the scrums.
Buck Shelford joining us in the commentary this afternoon through Television New Zealand's One World of Sport. Thrown by Pat Johnson for the States. And Gary Wetton has called for the scrum in field. Ground is just a little bit greasy on top, but I think the ball is fine to handle. Earl goes the blind side, little tap ahead by Bashop, and Timu tries to pick it up. But probably a good swift boot might have been the answer.
Here's a little grubber kick, a bit of the old-fashioned dribbling.
Mark Pidcock with the foot in, the scrum screwing around through 90 degrees, but hello, it's come back on the All Black side. Well, someone must have hacked it through there. Preston with a nice little kick judged through. Kicked ahead by Craig Innes. Now the race is on. Eric Whittaker going back for the States. He missed it. Taken in by the right wing three-quarter Gary Hine, but the All Blacks are there in numbers. Basher pops it up across to McCarhill. All Blacks getting pretty close to the line once again as they take it into the setup. Well, that was started with a lovely little kick through by John Preston.
Yes, it was good because unlike most first 5/8s, they don't run it up to the gap. They try to push it through from about 10 yards in front of their man. He went right up to the hole and slipped it through and made it very easy for Innes to run onto.
First scrum's collapsed, so we go back to this 5-metre scrum. Well, in fact, it's probably a little closer than that. Bashop runs it across, pops it up for McCarhill. Is Andy Earl going towards the post again? Just a couple of metres short. Ball comes back, it's loose. Now Bashop across to Wright. Wright heading for the corner again, and Terry Wright. With that brilliant pace of his, Terry Wright has gone, and this time in the right-hand corner after having previously scored in the left. That's his second for the day, and the All Blacks now lead by 15-0. That's their third try.
Yes, it was a lovely little setup here. This is this double switch that they do with the number 8. And Andrew Earl almost got through, and then away it comes out to Wright. The great thing about him is, even though he's a winger, a lot of wingers take a lot of time to get weaving, but he accelerates so quickly. Look at that, just going past 2 men with only a couple of yards to move laterally. Great acceleration. But then we know that he is probably one of the fastest men playing rugby in the world at the present time.
Nicely set up there by Andy Earl, and then a good pass by Graham Bashop. The All Blacks just lost it for a moment, then Bashop spotted Wright way out on the wing, and it was a good pass, and although the defence came across, Terry Wright far too quick, and Preston has converted from the sideline. That's a real confidence booster for John Preston. And the All Blacks now out to 17 points to 0.
Well, here it is. Mark Williams is to kick off the United States now. Good try and a good build-up, and they're really hitting their straps now, the All Blacks. And you can see the look on the faces of the Americans as they're down. They're quite down.
Kickoff taken by Williams, nicely taken by Alan Wetton for the All Blacks. There was a man in front there, unquestionably, but the referee let him carry on. The number 8 forward, Tony Ridnell. Again, Bashop with that little kick down the blind side. Eric Whittaker is the blonde-headed left winger for the States, and his kick is out on the full. 24-year-old from California.
You can tell with the golden hair. So goes with the Beaches.
Not suggesting it's bleached. Gary Wetton then.
I thought that he'd had a run there, Whittaker, because they're not winning much ball, and I thought every opportunity now a winger like that would have a go.
Good line-out work by Alan Wetton. Gary Wetton charges off into the United States defence, and immediately one of the players dives in over the top. Number 7, Sean Lipton. All Blacks carried on quickly. Jones has trouble getting a hold of it, and he finally does bring it under control. Snapped up by Earl. All Blacks lining both ways. Fitzpatrick has stayed out. So also has Alan Wetton as John Timu goes on a bit of a run. Just losing the ball forward though, 10 metres out from the line, and it's going to be cleared, or is it? Well, it's bounced off one of the All Blacks and back into the arms of Chris O'Brien. His kick is near touch, but Terry Wright has it. Wright's going to run it across field. All Blacks opening it up. McCahill got through a rather weak tackle, looking for Graham Purvis. All Blacks not finding their men at this stage. Now Bashop across to Tuigamala, has his man on, Gary Hine, pushing his way out of trouble. Tuigamala, look at the strength of the bloke. And finally it comes back on the United States side. 15 metres out from the line. All Blacks ahead by 17 points to 0. And back it goes from Pidcock. And the clearing kick is made by O'Brien. It's not finding touch again. Tuigamala brings it out into the centre field. Good pass to Terry Wright. All Blacks have a show here. McCahill, and McCahill gets a high one, I think. Referee said no.
No, I don't think it was. Well, he has pinged him for it, but it wasn't too bad.
No, it wasn't for the head high. It was for offside, in fact. Well, it saved a try, didn't it? So Graham Bashop has it on the mark. The All Blacks not bothering to kick the goal. Got some interesting bookmakers' odds on this match, which I'll give you pretty shortly. All Blacks working a move. Dropped by Andy Earl. Mistakes creeping into the All Black game.
He didn't know the call. He didn't know he was going to get it, did he? He knew he would looked at the ball. He ran the dummy.
Well, Alex Wiley and John Hart won't be particularly happy with that.
No, they won't, because of their incredibly high standards, as they said. Even in a game like this, they have that word that's used forever, focusing on goals, etc. New modern psychological jargon.
So Chris O'Brien to clear from the 22, 17 points to 0 the All Blacks lead. That's a lovely kick again. Beautiful kick by O'Brien. It's taken play back to the 10-metre line in All Black territory. Chris O'Brien in his 15th test. Well, the All Blacks have had over 2/3 of the possession in the game so far. The bookies' odds today, 50-1 that New Zealand would fail to score. Well, that's gone. Pretty miserable odds, really, when you consider it. Now Preston across to Innes, jabs it ahead. Rather too far, though. Straight into the arms of Paul Sheehy, the fullback. Sheehy right on halfway. I think the All Blacks might have turned him on their side of the ruck as well. But Steve McDowell in there trying to rip it off with his powerful arms. McDowell has done that. Now Preston, it's been charged. There's a chance for Joseph Burke. Good tackle in the end by Preston, who tipped him, and then McCahill drove in and completed it. 20 metres out from the line. Chance for the States if they can clear it quickly. And offside against the All Blacks. Referee pointing to the All Black who's left on the ground. If we have a look at the replay, the little kick through by Preston was charged by Burke, and he had the goal line ahead of him. Preston managed to tip him, and then when he got to his feet, McCahill drove it and completed the tackle. But in the end, it was Steve McDowell who was penalised.
I think more for grappling on the ground than anything else, trying to rip the ball away on the ground.
So Mark Williams will attempt to convert this into points. O'Brien had the first shot at goal. He's a left-footed kicker, so it's better for him, I guess, on the right-hand side of the field. So Mark Williams guides it through. The United States are on the board. The All Blacks lead by 17 points to 3. And over half an hour gone now in the first spell. Well, that was a popular penalty goal. The crowd loved that. The United States on the board. Mark Williams, 30-year-old, who was actually born in the United Kingdom. So about 7 or 8 minutes remaining in the first half. The All Blacks won't be totally satisfied with this performance so far. They've made a lot of errors. Preston taps out, tapped by Ian Jones. Ball channeled nicely. Up it goes for Inga again. Standing in the tackle. Now they've released it up for Michael Jones. Basham. Straight across for Ennis. Good hands here. Wright gets into the gap. Looking for Timu. Jones was there. Just 2 metres short of the line. All Black forwards arriving quickly. They've got to free it quickly if they can. Feet get to work. Basham. Now Preston. Ennis. Popped up again for Preston. Preston trying to run Tuigamala in. Tuigamala tries to snap it up. Lost it behind him. McCahill carries it on. Ian Jones, first man there. Still 10 metres up from the line. The United States defence holding. And
just a slight lack of communication between Preston and Tuigamala when they ran that cross. Obviously, Tuigamala should have stayed on his wing because Preston was trying to run him in. You said he lost it behind there. I think Tuigamala was calling, or should I say McCahill called behind Tuigamala to flick it through his legs.
Michael Jones lost his boot in that move and he's got it back on, so away we go again. Andy Earl has trouble picking it up. He didn't knock it on either. And a penalty for the All Blacks. Once again, the
USA going down.
Diving in over the top. The referees have been particularly vigilant in that area.
Yes, they have, and it's been good to see too. There were some of the critics of the English press were getting very upset about the fact that Jim Fleming in the England-New Zealand game had given too many penalties to New Zealand because England were killing the ball. And Carling sort of made aside wisecracks about it too, but wrong. For Carling and for Guscott, it'd be the best thing that ever happened for them because they'd get so much fast ball. They'd be able to use the space that it does create. Quick ball, midfield, centres, and they would look a far better backline because of it. But in the initial periods, because it's ingrained in English forwards and in a lot of other European forwards, they go over first to kill the ball. And back to scrums, crazy.
So John Preston with this opportunity to kick a penalty from a handy position. And he has guided it through. So John Preston kicks a penalty goal to give the All Blacks a 20 points to 3 advantage. That's his second penalty. And he also converted one of the Terry Wright tries. So 8 points so far today for John Preston. The All Blacks in this first half have scored 3 tries, 2 of them to Terry Wright and 1 to Andy Earl. So a few minutes remaining in the first half. Rather a stop-start performance by the All Blacks. They, I think, were initially shaken by the ferocity of the American Eagles in the first 10 minutes or so. But they seem to settle it. But just in the last few minutes, Earl, a few mistakes have been creeping in.
Yes, it's just the fact that they're not playing quite as tightly as they would against a good side. And they're looking a wee bit for the odd plum, and it's a natural reaction, really.
Preston from the 22. Ian Jones charging through onto it. It's taken in though by Tunnicliffe for the United States. Nicely delivered ball again. O'Brien hasn't passed all day. Again he pumps it high. Wright waits again. No fair catch awarded, but the All Blacks, I think, have the ball on their side of the ruck. Yes, they do. Basham brings it out. Wild pass across to Innes, who knocks it on. Once again, mistakes. Well, Basham was under a lot of pressure. It was an awkward pass for Craig Innes. Once again, what a pinpoint kick from Chris O'Brien.
In actual fact, they're right took it. And if the referee could hear him.
Now Pidcock. Could be a drop kick here. O'Brien. No, he's away to the right. And that indeed is half-time, just as Chris O'Brien misses with the drop kick. And at half-time here at Kingsholm in Gloucester, the All Blacks in their second pool match at the 1991 World Cup lead USA by 20 points to 3. All Blacks have had a good chat at half-time. No doubt have discussed a number of things that happened in that first 40 minutes. They wouldn't be entirely happy with the way things went. They lead by 20 points to 3 at the break. 3 tries, 2 to Terry Wright, 1 to Andy Earl. And John Preston has kicked a couple of penalties and a conversion, and Mark Williams has kicked the penalty goal for the state. So 20 points to 3 as we are about to turn round and get going again in the second half. Graham Purvis there in his test debut. And the other 2 players having their first matches for the All Blacks today in a test game, that is, John Preston and Vainga Tuingamala. Lovely town, Gloucester, about 130 miles west of London, not too far from Wales down here. So we're almost set to go here in the second spell. Referee's taking the full 5 minutes. Second half then underway as John Preston for the All Blacks. They lead at the break by 20 points to 0. And they'll be looking for a more impressive performance in the second spell, I'm sure, as Chris O'Brien, who impressed with his ability to put the high up and under in the first half. Some testing kicks on Terry Wright. Now to the first line-out. And the state started the line-out, Cyril Curtin, very, very well in the game, didn't they?
I don't know why they've actually faded away lately. I don't think we should at line-out time unless they're being absolutely screwed at scrum time.
Alan Wetton got up high for the All Blacks, but there was some pushing going on there.
Yes, he was climbing over the back of him. This Senor Sklar, he's had a very good game as a referee. He's been very positive. It's been a positive feature of the whole game. He's been trying to, 1, to keep players on their feet, and 2, he's quite intent to let it go. It's been a good performance by him.
Yes, I think he impressed the All Blacks at Tucumán earlier this year.
In that Argentinian tour.
That's right, yes. It was a night game, and there was a lot of fervour and passion around, and he did a very good job. So Chris O'Brien pushes the United States side back in All Black territory, 8 metres on the All Black side of halfway, a couple of minutes into the second spell. And again, the referee's going to insist on the gap in the lineouts. Andy Earl got up high. Yet he didn't take it cleanly, though. Put pressure on Basham, but Basham cleared nicely for Preston, who pumps it up for Tuingamala to come running onto. And nicely played by Gary Hine, the experienced right winger. Played a lot of rugby, the man on the right wing side for the States. And that was good work. Tuigamala was bearing down.
There's one feature. There's not many referees in the world that actually let rucks go for very long either.
Now Basham, Preston, misses Cahill this time. Innes straight out to Timu. Timu's going to have his man on Whitaker. Has support there from Terry Wright, but the pass is dropped in field. In fact, it went forward. So once again, a mistake made by the All Blacks out wide. Seeing a lot more of Terry Wright ranging wide on the wings, the way he does for Auckland in this match.
Yes, so he should be. I mean, I think that was one of the features of the English game, where a lot of the press there and the pundits were very disappointed with the New Zealand backplay, because they won all the ball, had a lot of the scrums, and in the second half, particularly when they were dominant, they weren't raging and rampaging free or sending it directly on the blind side to both Wright and to Kerwin. And I think they disappointed the crowd, or should I say the pundits, somewhat.
Lovely kick there by Mark Williams from inside his 22. The All Blacks back on their own 10-metre line. Fitzpatrick to throw. Andy Earl got up very, very high, but once again, a penalty in the line-out. This time it's against number 8 for the United States, Tony Ritnell. And so Preston, from his own 10-metre line, is going to look for the touchline on the main stand side of the ground. Towering away downfield. Lovely kick again by John Preston. Spiralling away down to a line out 15 metres out from the American line.
Now let's see. Wouldn't it be marvellous to see him fire one out of the middle? Americans too much, but it would be spectacular to say the least. A one-arm pass out for the far end.
Pat Johnson for the States on defence. Oh, a lovely take there by Kevin Swords. And what have we got this time? There are penalties all over the place in the lineouts, and it's for the All Blacks this time. Gary Wetton says, wait. He wants to set it here, not bothering to kick for goal. Well, some of these moves have gone a bit astray today. Let's see if they can get this one right. Graham Basham, 50 metres infield, has McDowell beside him. McDowell's going to take it up. He's going to run the blind side where Alan Wetton is ranging. Wetton drives up to within 5 metres of the line. All Blacks have the ball in there. Driving it over the line and scoring. Let's see who comes up last with the ball. Graham Purvis. Well, what a way to start your Test career. Graham Purvis gets the try. And that's the All Blacks' 4th. And it's 24 points to 3.
Yes, well, there's nothing like scoring a try on your debut Test. Good drive here. Good move too. Not kicking for goal, New Zealand. And then driving it forward with all the enthusiasm under the world with Purvis. Never going to let it go to anybody else. Thought it's been a great day for me already to get a Test, and I'll get one too. He did. Again, though, the man who's putting a tremendous effort in for America is their number 4 and captain, Swords. He was wrapping him up. He was desperate to keep him out, exhorting the rest, as you could hear, of the players to help out.
Preston with the conversion attempt, and it's just away to the left. So Preston fails to convert the try scored by Graham Purvis. 24 points to 3. That's Purvis's first try for the All Blacks in his 14th game, and a try on his Test debut. So a marvellous moment for the Waikato front row prop. 24 points to 3. And we've been going about 8 minutes in the second half. The drop kick-off from Chris O'Brien. Calling for it is Andy Earl. Earl sets it near the 22. Basham for Preston. And that's another good clearing kick by John Preston. Well, his goal kicking hasn't always been on target today, but certainly his punting has been most impressive.
He's just missing with the goal kicking too. He struck that very well, and the wind just took it at the last moment away from the post, his last conversion, and the one previous to that too.
4 tries to 0 so far for the All Blacks. Gary Wetton got up very high, but I think the United States might have dragged this one in too. 2 very big lock forwards. Back it comes for half-back Pidcock. Letting it go this time is O'Brien. Straight to Williams. That's a poor kick though. Straight down to Terry Wright. And Wright is able to quickly turn and punch it down towards the left-hand corner. And that's an excellent kick by Terry Wright. Yes, such a versatile all-rounder, this fellow, isn't he?
Yes, he set himself, steadied it down, and did very much like Fox kicks, that low trajectory, rolling over and over into touch. Nice timing.
Another one of the All Blacks that started against the Baby Blacks, for the Baby Blacks against France in '86. Now a vastly experienced player, Terry Wright.
Oh, great jump by Swords again. Beautiful. Went forward, back, dummied. Did you see him? And then got up and got 2 hands on it.
Marvellous exhibition of
lovely
line-out
take.
work. Tuigamala does keep it in the field of play cleverly, and away goes Inga. Straight through the gap he goes. Hands it up to his mate Michael Jones, but the ball didn't quite make it to Jones. And the States have it, but the All Blacks go crunching in. Good open up here, though. Good spot tackle by Tuigamala this time. All Blacks snaffle up the loose ball quickly through Gary Wetton inside the 22. Handing it back to McDowell. There it is now for Basham. And whistle is gone. Little knock on the ground by one of the All Blacks.
Basham, he accused of it. I don't think I thought it actually hit his boot and came forward, and then got his hand down to it. But so what? We're splitting straws.
Tuigamala really looking for work out on the left wing side. Basham in to try and disrupt his opposite man, Pidcock, and he got him before the ball. And the referee picked it up and has called for the penalty.
Yes, I think it'd be a bit better if Tuigamala too, from an All Black point of view, did get 2 hands on it, as Buck Shelford down on the sideline suggested a moment or 2 ago, and made sure that his pass actually made the man running in support. In that case, it was Michael Jones.
O'Brien pushes the ball up to 5 metres on the United States side of halfway. 20 points to 3 at half-time, 24 points to 3 now.
The big problem with the Americans is that their back row just don't get there fast enough. I think their tight men are playing quite well, particularly Swords, as I have been saying. He really is the sharp end of their both attack and defence.
Ian Jones got that one for the All Blacks. He was still being held down, but he managed to get a hand on it. Tuigamala didn't take the pass I think was meant for him, but it was snapped up by Preston. Oh, look at this. The States have, in good New Zealand style, have turned the All Blacks over. Now Kevin Swords ranging out wide. Fitzpatrick and Mackay will make the tackle, but they've set it up nicely. They're playing some good rugby here. Burke gets inside a rather weak attempt by Graham Basham to put him down. The All Blacks try and free it, and Pidcock tried to whip it across towards Gary Hine, and there is an injury here to one of the American players, and it's number 1, Chris Lippett. And it looks to be quite a serious injury too. Graham Purvis was showing some real concern there. He was lying very close to him.
Up and what ball they get now, they're actually having a go. They're actually using the ball, trying to keep it in hand, which is good to see. They have actually caught New Zealand on the hop a couple of times, and if they can win a bit more ball off Swords at the front of the line-out and get it to the half and get it wide, I think they could put some more pressure on the All Blacks. It's good to see a minor nation doing so well against the All Blacks in that phase.
Number 16, Lance Manga, is on the field, replacing Chris Lippett. So there's Lance Manga right into the front. And back we go, just on the All Black side of halfway, thrown down the back by Fitzpatrick. Wasn't a particularly good throw. It was more on the States side, and Jones couldn't get across to reach it.
They're just getting a bit untidy now, the US. They should set those just slightly more. They're getting in a rush to clear the ball back to their halfback, and he's almost not expecting it.
Well, bit of gamesmanship there by the halfback, Mark Pidcock. He knew that it was New Zealand ball. He shot across and tried to put it in the other side. Here is Innes getting through a couple of tackles, pops it up, or doesn't, holds onto it in fact, near the 10-metre line in the States territory, and there's a player lying in over the top there, getting a reasonable workout too for his efforts. The All Blacks will tap this, no doubt. 24 points to 3. And in fact, Preston is going to, I think, put an up and under here,
yes,
rather than kick for goal. So here's one for the All Blacks to chase onto. Michael Jones leading the charge. Nicely taken in again. I think this time it was Tunnicliffe. And it's far too tight in there, but it was nicely controlled in there, but the All Blacks pushing forward. It was, in fact, the number 8 forward, Tony Ridnell. So now the All Blacks have a golden opportunity here, right in centre field. Innes is way up to the right. Preston is standing to the left of the scrum.
With McCahill, you can see them, but you cannot see Innes. He's moved to the right.
And here is Innes. Innes pops it up nicely for Bishop, and a simple try for John Timu. Those moves are rehearsed at training, and it's worked well and given John Timu his first test try, and the All Blacks out to 28 points to 3. What a beautiful move that was, Earl Curtin. You could see it coming, though, with Innes out wide.
Absolutely lovely.
And then
Here
Bishop
it is,
doubled
far round, and then Bishop does a double round again. Beautiful pop-up by Innes, too, as he takes the man out with his hips and his shoulder, and then makes it very easy for John Timu. There's not much you can do about it when it's so close to the line, and you do it very, very well like that. Lovely double round. He's quick, though, too, Bishop. He doesn't get a lot of credit for being quick, but remember seeing him play in sevens. He's got a lot of pace. And the other thing,
no goal again from John Preston. Pushed it wide to the left this time.
and the other thing is, it's so simple going to the right for halfback too, because it's the easiest way to run and to pass. Here it is again. Only one man guarding that side again.
Yeah, lovely little move, and John Timu unchallenged across to score the try. His first. Playing on the right wing today, John Timu. That, of course, is his normal position for Otago, but he's only played 2 tests on the right wing. The other 3 have been on the left. And he's got underway, so 2 of the players making their debuts have scored tries. Preston will have to come out into the field of play and kick for touch here. And again, he times it beautifully and puts it across the touchline, 15 metres out from the 22. Well, news through this morning, and good news indeed that David Kirk, who captained the All Blacks in the 1987 World Cup, of course, became a father. Yesterday, his wife delivered a son called Hugo Kirk. So some pushing again on the lineouts, and really the lineouts in this game, Earl, have been a bit of a shambles, haven't they?
Yes, they have, but I mean, but it's the USA have been trying to make them that way. They're trying to break them up, and try and break up the rhythm, and that's what you have to do if you're playing against a recognised and a well-established side like the All Blacks. So it was inevitable that it was going to be scrappy, and that's exactly what the Americans intended it to be.
Well, it's going to be a shot at goal here. Once again, it will be Mark Williams, who's landed one already. Here is the line-out, another look at the line-out. And you can see the teams from both sides are very, very close together. Pushing and shoving going on. And really, it's a bit of a lottery as to who you're going to penalise. Nevertheless, Williams will attempt yet another shot at goal.
Williams is an Englishman. Born in England, played a lot in Middlesex and for the Wasps in the London area. And moved latterly to the US, mainly because he was such a talented young player. Getting slightly long in the tooth now for a back, but obviously the US of A drawing on his experience.
Kick of about 35 metres. And a good one too from Mark Williams. And the United States have their second penalty goal. And the All Blacks lead by 28 points to 6. And we've had about 12 or 13 minutes play in the second half.
What I'd like to see the New Zealanders do, particularly in the backs, is that straight ball, the direct ball from the base of the scrum, particularly to the right, with Terry Wright coming in and with John Timu on the outside of him, charging for the line without having a whole lot of forwards intervening, or leftos, as they say, or rightos with a halfback or number 8 pickup. Just direct balls and punching on the blind. Be lovely to see for a change.
5 tries to 0, the All Blacks. Wright's got a couple. Earl, Purvis and Timu. Preston from halfway. Gary Wetton got up high. Ian Jones tried to tap it back. And they'll take the line out.
No, he's going for the knock-on.
Yes, it was knocked on, in fact. Norm Mottram on the side of the scrum against Steve McDowell. Norm Mottram is a Scot, so we've got an Englishman out in the backs and Mark Williams. Norm Mottram, a Scot. A couple of Kiwis in the squad, but not playing today. Tony Flay and Barry Daly. And the All Blacks didn't go down, so it's a free kick. O'Brien wants the ball here. The forwards, I thought, were getting into some sort of formation.
They weren't. The way they went down on the scrum was terrible for a start. The number 8, Ridnell, never even went into the scrum until they were in push. The lock then lost his footing. And the US, the scrum is actually packing up a bit. They were losing that discipline of all going down as 8 and hitting it rather than folding into the scrum.
Well, to the great delight of the crowd here, but not to the man concerned. That hit the cameraman. There he is on the head. Look, he didn't whack into the lens. Michael Jones at the back, then, and Alan Wetton in front of him, Andy Earl in front of him again. Sean Fitzpatrick, lovely leap by Earl, good take. 10-metre line, All Black territory. The All Blacks set up a drive here. Bashop across to Preston. Preston pushes it forward once again. Tuigamata coming through quickly, but once again Kevin Swords, who's been quite outstanding in this game, got back the big lock forward to take it on his own 10-metre line. Jones gets in to disrupt halfback Pidcock. Now it goes to Burke. Burke running back into the heavy traffic, and referee was playing advantage. Penalty against the All Blacks. Quickly taken by Pidcock, taken up by the number 8 forward Ridnell. Tackle made on him by Purvis. Back now for O'Brien. Good structured game being played here by the States, but the kick by O'Brien in fact has gone over the goal line rather than over the touch line. And yes, Terry Wright to force.
Made it too long, and therefore taking the pressure off the Blacks.
Getting close to halfway through the second half. The All Blacks have only scored 2 tries in the second spell, both unconverted, to lead by 28 points to 6. Preston this time pushes it right down to Gary Hine. This is the fellow that played for Oxford University a couple of times and is vastly experienced. Andy Earl can't control the ball. Been picked up by the outstanding Kevin Swords, the captain of the side. High up and under kick by Pidcock. All Blacks looking to control this one just out from the 22. Bashop feeding Preston. And again, a beautiful spiralling kick by John Preston. There goes the big lateral throw in by Gary Hine. Carry on, says the referee. Eric Whittaker takes it in, and a head-high tackle by the All Blacks this time. So they're just a bit flustered, I think, at the moment. And frustrated, no doubt. They must know that they're not playing all that well. Head-high tackle against Michael Jones from behind.
It's a bit difficult to make a head-high from behind. I suppose one could grapple neck from behind, but
O'Brien
too dangerous.
Pumps the big up and under. Andy Earl wants it this time. Again, he's missed it. That's 2 in a row, Andy Earl. Hasn't been able to take the high ball. Couple of metres out from the 22, but the All Blacks should manage to get this one back from the maul. They're vigorous, these blokes. Tony Ridnell, he's a big fellow, as you can see. Kevin Swords and Chuck Tunnicliffe, the big fellows, are giving the All Blacks plenty. Earl takes it off the back. Wright came looming up. Terry Wright gets himself into the gap. Now Tui Gamala gets a chance to stretch the legs, but the whistle is gone. It was a forward pass. Referee was right on the spot. Terry Wright has looked very impressive coming in from the back. Pidcock with the feed. Tight head for Fitzpatrick. Basham whips it away for Preston. Innes. Way across to Timu. Timu stretching the legs. Wright came in field. Now Preston has a run down the right wing side. Tries to bang it back into the centre. Well, a bit of a communication breakdown there, are they good?
Yes, that's sort of doing things naturally. I mean, I still maintain that the inside man should come back and set the outside fella free, particularly when it's right with these tremendous pace. But they're trying different perms, and one can't blame them.
All Blacks got a tight head, and this, in fact, was after Timu took it to ground. Preston trying to push it back infield, but it slipped off the side of his boot. Well, an injury break here. Chance to bring in Buck Shelford down sideline. And Buck would have made it in the last 10 minutes.
Well, from down here, I think the last 10 minutes have been quite boring, actually, irrespective of one try being scored. I think both teams are making a lot of mistakes. America, they've had 3 or 4 opportunities to spin the ball wide, and they've gone to putting the kick in, and really they've gained no territory whatsoever. The All Blacks, every time they get a movement going, there's either a drop pass or a forward pass, and they look like they're struggling at times, but they're not playing that impressively in the last 10 minutes.
Thanks, Buck. So back we go. The injured player is okay. And so they line out 5 metres on the state side of halfway. Again, the big American forwards got up and tipped it on their side.
The halfback's having a lot of trouble. The USA halfback's having a tremendous amount of trouble too. He's getting far too close, Piddock, to his forwards, and he's snatching at the ball a bit in his desperation to get it away. He must relax more, because they're winning a fair bit of ball now.
Fitzpatrick throws. Lovely take this time by Ian Jones. That was a beautifully clean take by Jones. So the All Black backs have a run now. McCahill whips it across to Tui Gamala, and once again he displays that immense power that he does have. Gets it up to 10 metres on the state side of halfway. Basham goes on the blind side and drills it away downfield, but pushed it just a little bit too far, and will go back to the 22. Graham Basham had a couple of players to his right there.
There's one factor too that's happening. The All Black inside backs are not running hard enough onto the ball. They're not really running. They're just sort of stretching it wide without taking the men out. Everything's drifting off. They've got to really hit it.
Williams with the restart. Straight for Alan Wetton. All Blacks driving in on Alan Wetton. 10 metres out from the 22. 28 points to 6. Now they leave it behind for Basham. Boot came over and stopped it, and offside. Well, in fact, it was the original offence against number 6, Mark Sawicki. And it goes against Ian Jones, who apparently intervened after the penalty had been made.
Yes, there was a good call by the referee. No need for it.
Some indication there of the frustration, I think, which is creeping into the All Black performance. So here's Chris O'Brien. Well, with both of the first 5/8 have been able to kick this ball beautifully today. That was a lovely kick again by O'Brien.
Yes, Canberra may be bitching, but these two guys are having no trouble at all with it.
All Blacks' second match in the Rugby World Cup 1991, coming to you live from King's home ground in Gloucester through Television New Zealand's One World of Sport.
Yes, I think Berry said something about there was no lace on the ball and it was arsenic to kick.
Arsenic to kick. That's a funny one. Innes, he can kick a ball too with his left boot. Beautifully fielded by fullback Paul Sheehy. He's pushed it back into the centre. That might not have been a wise move, but Bishop's knocked it on. So mistake after mistake from the All Blacks. They seem to be having trouble keeping their eye on concentrating on the high ball. We've seen Andy Earl drop a couple, and now Graham Bishop spilled one. Free kick against the All Blacks this time, pushing before the ball went in. So this can't be a direct kick at goal by O'Brien. In fact, looks as though he's going to push it up for his teammates to run onto. Perhaps not as far as he would have liked. Coming down about 5 metres out from the 22. Calling for Bishop. Assisted in there by Alan Wetton. Now Bishop has a better ball, and Preston just gets the kick away as Sean Lipman arrives on the scene. John Preston, 8 points in the game so far, 28 points to 3. United States thrown quickly again, and they win it, but Gary Wetton goes through to spoil it. Fitzpatrick tries to tow it away. Coming on the United States side of the ruck. Pidcock away to O'Brien, tries to get away from Jones, who picked him up quickly, but offside against the All Blacks.
He wasn't offside. I mean, the ball was out of that scrum for quite some time, and he was entitled to run there.
Hasn't been quite such a dominant figure today, Michael Jones. The game perhaps hasn't run for him.
Well, that's it. It hasn't run for him. And a lot of the mistakes have been back behind him, but he's still so fast generally that he gets there, and there's a pregnant pause really before the rest of either side, the marauding pack, actually appear on the scene. He's a marvellous player. He's been getting rave reviews here too, particularly after his game for New Zealand against England. They said that he was the difference really between the two teams. I think that's stretching it a bit, but he certainly is a magic player.
Shot at goal this time from O'Brien. We've seen 2 penalty goals kicked so far by Mark Williams. Not a bad looking kick. Just away to the right. Certainly had the distance. And so it remains at 28 points to 6. Not too long to go in this game. 10 or 12 minutes perhaps. The All Blacks would have expected, having led by 20 to 3 at half time, to have pulled right away in the second half, but it hasn't been that way at all. Not so far anyway. Bishop for Terry Wright. Wright's kick not finding touch. Down it goes to Gary Hine on the right wing side. He opens it up for Paul Sheehy. And running themselves into a bit of strife here. Burke taken to ground, and another head-high tackle. Well, goodness me.
It was hardly head-high, he just grabbed his jersey.
That's right. That's stretching it a wee bit.
But he came back the wrong way, and he deserved to get nailed, as did Burke. So USA were rude, they might call him a right back.
So the kick made again by O'Brien. The All Blacks not having too many attacking opportunities in the last 5 or 6 minutes. Play has been inside All Black territory.
I think psychologically they think they would just cruise it, given the nature of the team that they've selected. And it's just getting frustration because it hasn't actually happened, and the US have played well.
Beautiful leap by Andy Earl. The All Blacks decide to drive on Earl. This is much more commitment from the All Blacks. Held up, it looks as though McDowell's got it in there. They've decided to take it into their own hands here and just thump it up the middle for a while. 10-metre line in the States territory. Now it's finally emerged. Preston, McCarhill, turning it back for his loose forwards. Alan Wetton was the first man there. Now they go blindside across to Tuangamala. Pushes it away downfield. Sheehy going back. Tuangamala's coming to him quickly. and Preston. And it's a 5-metre scrum. Good work by Inga, the winger. He put the kick in and then chased hard. And so the All Blacks find themselves now in a good attacking position, leading by 28 points to 6. Here's Inga charging straight in again, twisting, turning. Now he meets up with the forwards. Bishop waiting for it. Preston. Innes, long one across, misses Terry Wright. Timu has to go back. John Timu, so good from broken play. Good run here from Timu. 2 or 3 metres out from the line. All Blacks getting there to try and secure the second phase ball. They have Bishop across to Tuigamala. What a good pass from Graham Bishop. And Inga completes his first test try. So all 3 test debutants have scored tries today. And that is well deserved by Inga Tuigamala. 32 points to 6.
Well, it was a very tight build-up because the US backs came up very, very flat. They also had an extra man out there, and it forced Timu to come back when the wide pass went behind him. He picked it up, and then he moved back. Look at him eluding all these players coming back right through the middle. He went right over here to the left wing, back into the middle. A good ruck picked up here. Bishop goes the right side for a change and gives a beautiful long pass, and there was no one out there at all. It wasn't a show on the wide, stopping the big black bus from scoring on the left flank.
It was all set up by John Timu. Lovely run by him.
At one stage, I'll just wait till after this kick.
Preston's nailed this one. That's a good kick. John Preston converts the try scored by Inga Tuigamala. And it's 34 points to 6 now for the All Blacks.
One stage there was almost like American ball, where McDowell turned around and waved him, says, "Come back here." He yelled at him and he stood aside, sort of opening up the path for him to dive straight through them, because most of his forwards, that is the All Black forwards, were in front of Timu. And he shot straight through the angle.
Restart by Mark Williams. Down for Preston. All Blacks want to run it out from their own line. Away it goes for Craig Innes, who gets onto that favoured left boot of his. And that's a lovely kick by Craig Innes. And we go to the line out, which will be shortened by the United States. Thrown by Johnson. Jones trying to get a hold of it. He knocked it on. Referee playing advantage here. And it's going to be a scrum. News just come through that Chris Lippert, in fact, has torn his knee ligaments. And that was the reason that he was forced from the field. Big scrum by the All Blacks. Bishop up to Preston. Preston down the blind side he goes. Nice pass inside. Alan Wetton. This is better stuff from the All Blacks inside the 22. Now they set it. Driving in hard. Bishop. Preston. Well tackled. Into centre field again. McDowell gets across quickly. Frees the arms well. Now Bishop flicks it across for Timu. Terry Wright. Ball knocked forward by one of the American players. I think the referee says play on. All Blacks have it again in the form of Ian Jones. Hard defence to get through here. Tuigamala with his strength. Now Innes up for Preston. They're going left and right here. Andy Earl decides to take it in. Not making too much progress at the moment. Good this time though. Right. Little pass for McCahill. And it just dropped at the feet of John Timu. McCahill took it off him. Jones runs onto it. He pops it in for Ian Jones. And Ian Jones stretching very close to the line but didn't quite make it. United States defending desperately here and doing a very good job of it. Well, that was great play by Michael Jones. So the scrum right near the line. And there is an injury here as we see Ian Jones. Oh, he just a metre short after a lovely pass from Michael Jones. So the injured player, let's see if we can pick him up, could be Norm Mottram, I think, at the prop forward. Well, our curtain time running out. In fact, I think we've just about run the full 80 minutes here. And what will be going through the minds of these blokes?
I think they'll just be, dissatisfied with their attitude to the game, really. It's not that they played particularly well, and no, it was just concentration. They thought, obviously, they'd run away in the last 20 minutes.
So the scrum to be set once again. This time it'll be the All Blacks ball. They push the States back. Bashop to feed. Held in the back by Hill. Now Bashop frees it up. Preston having a little dab. Looking to free it up for Craig Innes, and Innes struggles over. Craig Innes gets the try right near the end. A well-worked move. John Preston did well to hold it up. And Craig Innes, with good display of strength, has wrestled his way through to score the try to make it 38 points to 6. And that's the first for Craig Innes at Rugby World Cup 1991. Well, it was a nicely worked move. Preston ran it up, held it up, and just slipped it to Innes. And Innes, with his power, was able to surge across and get the try.
Yes, a very good punching run. You'll see it here coming. Well held up too. Two-handed, as you notice, by Preston. Holding it up, and the strength of Innes carrying him through.
So Craig Innes, in his 13th test, has now scored 5 tries. And John Preston. Converts the try scored by Craig Innes. 40 points to 6, so the All Blacks have made it to 40. All Blacks were expected, I think, by many people to get to 50 or even 60 in this game. Hasn't been that at all. The States have played, I think, above themselves. Admittedly, the All Blacks, at times, haven't quite measured up. There's been a lot of mistakes. But they've now doubled their half-time score. 20-3 at half-time. It's now 40-6. And it must just about be full-time. Mark Williams again with the kick-out. Preston, they're going to open it again. No, Innes is going to be able to get on that left boot. No, in fact, Innes is going to carry on running. Pass across to McCarhill. Oh, almost intercepted by Gary Hine. Must have knocked it forward. And he did. Deliberate knock-on, in fact, so it was a penalty. Well, I think he was going for the intercept, so it was stretching it a bit to call it a deliberate knock-on.
Yes, it wasn't a deliberate knock-on. He was actually got too close before he unloaded the pass. It was the timing of the pass that was wrong, not the fact that it was deliberately knocked down.
Alan Wetton ranging out on the left wing side. Inga Tuigamala's gone to help the backs out. They're going to get a run now. Tuigamala, in fact, was lurking way out on the right wing side, but Michael Jones has the ball here. Jones looking for his captain, Gary Wetton. Big surge down the touchline by Gary Wetton. Finds his brother, Alan Wetton, 10 metres on the state side of halfway. Very close to the touchline here. Nice quality ball delivered for Bashop. Innes. Good support from McCarhill. He has Preston there. All Blacks finishing well now. Timu gets into the gap. John Timu. Terry Wright takes it beautifully. And that's the best try of the day. Try number 3 for Terry Wright. Magic hands from Terry Wright. That wasn't an easy pass to take, but he clung onto it and scored a quite brilliant try.
Yes, well, that was a lovely play here. The build-up was good too. The hands were very quick in the midfield. Both McCarhill stepped back inside to allow players to run off his shoulder. And in the end, Timu accelerated to clear himself, get into that in-between space. And then right here, you'll see him really poking it in now. Here he goes, Timu.
shoves it back to Terry Wright, and his pace just carries him away. But it was a good try. And the build-up was good too. They held all the American forwards or the US forwards back on one side of the pitch and then spread it quickly to the right.
Preston converts the try scored by Terry Wright. Referee looks at his watch, says we'll carry on. 46 points to 6. And in fact the whistle is blown, so that is it. It is all over. The All Blacks have won their second pool match here at the Rugby World Cup in 1991 by 46 points to 6. They led at half-time by 20 points to 3. And I think we might just go quickly down to the sideline and get Buck Shelford's quick impressions on the game.
Well, that game's over and the All Blacks come through with a comprehensive 46 points to 6 victory over the Americans. Just summing up the game.